All right, have fun.
Hi, so we're here today with the fabulous Julie Kay from CND Nails. Hi, Julie.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, good. How are you?
I'm very good. I'm could be better in today's climate, but we're here and we're going to talk about fun things today.
Of course, everything to be thankful for. So now you're with CND, and how long have you been with them?
I have been using CND products for my entire career actually, so over 20 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Great. So you've been using CND products for over 20 years. That's a long time.
Yes. Yes, and much more closely the last, I would say 3 to 4 years, very, very closely since I opened my atelier in Manhattan, which is just a few blocks from the CND offices. So when PlexiGel came out, I was the one where all the editors came in to get Plexi and really introduce them to it. And we've worked together many times with Fashion Week, with the Blondes, with Christian Cowan and other things and events and lots of fun things. So
That's amazing. The runway shows are so much fun. You must really enjoy those.
yes, and actually, one of the things that I wanted to do over 20 years ago before starting my career as a celebrity manicurist was doing runway shows because I love the excitement of the live audience and making the trends, which I know that's what we're going to talk about today, but something, and also travel. So doing runway has always been my pretty much number one dream. So I love being able to combine all of those now.
Yes, for sure. So it takes a lot of time to prepare to create the looks for a designer. Can you tell us a little bit about that process?
Yes. So usually these meetings, sometimes they can start months in advance. You know, the designers start creating their collections pretty much as soon as the previous season is done. They start collecting ideas and fabric swatches and things like that. So the chat with the nail and the beauty team can be, months in advance as well. So for us, this conversation started several months in advance, probably 4 or 5, I think. And then once we started to narrow down kind of what we're going to do, we hopped on a call, everyone together with Jan Arnold, and we started hashing out some looks, maybe 3 weeks, 2 weeks in advance or so. And we came up with what ultimately became the 7 looks that went on the runway at Christian Cowan for Paris Fashion Week.
Oh, wow. So I saw these images and I'm just looking at them now. They're so beautiful. I would wear every single one of them. They're just gorgeous. So in terms of color and style and shape and all of that, is that kind of C&D's own direction in collaboration with Christian Cowan or with the designer in general?
Yes, that was definitely a collaboration of myself and Jan and Christian and his creative team. We wanted, first of all, starting with the shape and the length, we wanted something that was very elongating and very beautiful, kind of like a gorgeous kind of Catwoman kind of a feel, but in a more elegant way, a very narrow, gorgeous shape that C&D does so well and is so known for. We wanted to make it a little bit more dramatic with the length and a little bit more pointed, but not an incredibly sharp stiletto. We kind of did more of a teardrop shape. So we took a stiletto tip and then took the tip off of it and rounded it just slightly so it was still narrow, but it didn't have that sharp point at the tip.
Right, not daggers. And of course, it really depends on the designer because there's some extreme kind of avant-garde, and then there's more elegant or almost wearable types of designers out there.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Now, obviously, you make all these nails in advance.
Yes.
Now, how big is the team making all these nails, and how far in advance are you making them for each show?
Well, we started, so the show was in Paris, and I'm based in New York City. My team that is all graduates of my academy, Julie Kandalec Academy, they flew to Paris themselves. So they came from all over the States and a few from France. And so we met in Paris the few days before the show, and we made all of them there together as a team. I got an Airbnb with this beautiful light and this huge dining room table, and you'll see it in the stories on CND World on their Instagram. But we all wanted to do it together so that we're all kind of brainstorming together and working together. And it took us 4 days, and there's 12 of us, and we were up all night. I mean, we joked that we drank, I think, 40 espressos, and that's probably putting it mildly. I mean, and
espresso martinis.
I know, we should have switched. I mean, some of my team came straight from the airport. They landed, they went through customs, and they came right there, and we worked until 3:00 in the morning, and we just
spun it out. Yeah. Well,
Yep.
It's also a really fun time, I'm sure, as much as it's exhausting, but everyone's in their zone, creating their little, I always say their little mini works of art, because they really are. Especially C&D is known for their very elaborate, built up, highly designed nails.
Yes.
I had the opportunity to go to one of the Blondes shows, the Disney Villains one.
Amazing.
And I saw the behind the scenes of that, and the Jan's workshop, and what everyone was working on. It was just incredible. So much time and effort put into this.
Yes, I haven't added up everyone's hours together yet, but it's in the hundreds. It's crazy.
Yeah. And generally, how many models are you preparing for?
We had around 45 women, I think, and then there were 6 men, and they were the ones that had the 7th look, which was a single crystal right in the middle of the nail. It wasn't a press on; it was just right on the natural nail. So there were a lot of hands being done that day.
All hands on deck, literally everybody's hands on deck. And do the models get to keep the nails after? Or does
We let them keep them. We had plenty left that I keep in my archives, and a lot of the models were just so obsessed with the nails, they really wanted to keep them for either like later that night or just in general. So I said, you know what, we have extra, so why not make them happy and keep the nails,
For sure. So you say you work with celebrities and editors, and you do a lot of fashion and beauty, and so is there somebody that stands out to you who's one of your favorite people, or someone you work with often?
Currently, I am working with Pink. She is touring at the moment, and she's amazing and just empowering and just a phenomenal woman. And I'm currently also working with Jessica Chastain a lot, who is also phenomenal and very empowering. So, I'm very blessed to be surrounded by such incredible talent. And other people that I work with a lot are like Selena Gomez, and I always draw a blank when people ask me this question. It's so bizarre. Yeah, but lots of really cool men and women and people.
Right. Well, and living in New York helps, because that's where a lot of the celebrities are.
Exactly.
Yeah. So have you had like a scary moment in your career at some point where you were like, oh my God, how am I going to get through this? Or any moments like that?
Of course, but I can't divulge them.
Okay.
There was actually, you know what? I will share this now that it's over. So going back to Paris Fashion Week, I packed 2 suitcases, 50 pounds each, of like all my things. We get to the carousel at Orly Airport. Only 1 bag shows up.
Oh, my biggest fear.
And it wasn't, we had a nonstop flight.
Oh.
We didn't check in the bags late. There was no rhyme or reason why it wouldn't show up. And I thought, I travel a lot, But for some reason, this is the time that the universe is going to make me lose a suitcase. So when I packed all my suitcases, what I did for Fashion Week, I put half of everything in each suitcase. So at least I had something, right? And when we're making these tips, I have like mounting tape and files for everyone and like all the shellac colors. I even brought vinyl lux. So I had several of each of them. But the issue was, because I only had one suitcase, I only had half of the amount
For such a team.
the color. Exactly. So I had enough to get us started. But the issue became, if my bag didn't get there within a certain time frame, I wouldn't have enough to make 50 sets of nails with 20 nails each. So luckily, not only did it show up 2 days later, it came on a different flight, thank God. But those 2 days, panic ensued. I did not tell the team at CND until after.
Good for you. You kept your cool.
But I knew that it was going to be okay because I went early. A lot of my team members hadn't arrived yet. They hadn't even left yet. So I said, hey, bring, if you have satin pajamas, if you have black pool, if you have non-wipe top coat, if you have the matte top coat, like bring all of these things. And they brought everything. And then my bag showed up and we were totally fine. But let me tell you, the panic in my heart that day at the airport, not fun.
Oh, yeah, no, that is super scary. And you do kind of have to think in advance. Well, you're in a different country. So is there a CND office there that you could go to and stock up on supplies,
Right.
Like,
and there are distributors there, but we arrived on a Sunday afternoon, so I didn't want to risk losing a day. So I just put out callers to my team, like bring all these things. I knew they were coming anyways, so
right.
that way I didn't have to panic anyone.
Super scary. This show that I'm looking at, the Christian Cowan one, it was spring summer 24. So is there any sort of fluid trend you see throughout the season, or is it really just about individualism and going with the designer and their style and their colors, or there's, is it the length? Is that a trend now? Are we going shorter? Is it longer? There's so many variations, right?
I know. And I think that, to summarize, it's either like minimalism or maximalism, not a lot in between. So, we're seeing a lot of just supermodel nails, like these short, very, very beautiful, but very clean nails, kind of like what I have on right now. This was my midnight manicure for you. But on the other spectrum are like the nails that we did for Christian, which are the long, kind of beautiful, rounded stiletto teardrop kind of enhancement, or like a micro French a micro French is a huge trend that we're going to start seeing. And what we did for Christian was this kind of reimagined micro French. And also, we did some other looks during New York Fashion Week with Staud and with Kate Spade, also with kind of a micro French variation where we had kind of a sheer base and then a straight line at Staud, and then the classic micro French at Kate Spade. But the Christian Cowan ones were the most visually interesting because not only, so we used a press-on, so we had the opportunity to use a clear tip so you can see right through the tip. So we have this incredible kind of window pane of a nail, and we also did an outline on the tip, a very thin one, kind of like a micro French width on the outline to kind of finish it, right? And then with each of the 6 different full coverage nail looks, all of the French, the smile lines were slightly different. So some of them, there was a little bit of a sliver of negative space in between it. And then some of them were right along that nail bed. And then some of them were in a different color. So the pastel blue one had a white line with it. But then when we did the purple one, that one also, and then the blue one was matte, but then the purple one had a dark blue line, but that one was shiny. So we're also playing with different textures to kind of have a little bit of a variant within the collection, plus the gemstone, the tiny little crystal adornment that went right in the middle of that window pane of clear.
Yeah,
So
it is so beautiful. It's really cool on the design front. You have a concept, and you take that concept and you make it in 100 different directions. You know, like you have your starting point, and then your variations are endless.
right, and I think that shows to the consumer, like, it doesn't have to be just one micro French way. Like you can have a little negative space. You can do it in a different color. You can make it matte. You can make it shiny. And then the silver look that we did was originally, so we ended up adding those crystals later, but it originally was a matte and a shiny look, but then we changed it to the more crystal that I thought looked so cool on the runway. So that's something as well. Like you can do a matte bed with a shiny tip. So
Right.
it's also cool.
And then when it comes to highly built up, really structural kind of nails, like at the Blondes, then and they're just on a whole other design plan altogether. They just make it bigger and glammier and glitzier and
yeah, the more the better. I mean, and we did that show 2 seasons ago, and it was crystals and studs. I mean, it took one of my team members 8 hours just to make one set, just with studs, just placing them so perfectly on the nail.
Right. Well, I like I said, they are little mini canvases. They truly are, and it's I think any nail artist like yourself has just an impeccable eye, a very sturdy hand, really good eyesight.
Yeah.
I mean, do you work through some kind of a zoom lens of some sort? It's like
Not yet, but I feel like maybe one day I should. I know that some nail artists do that, so.
Yeah, well, it's just more equipment to bring with you.
I know. More things to add to my suitcase.
Well, it's all part of the tools of the professional, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So what do you think of the whole press-on nail trend? Do you think that's here to stay? Do you think it's a good idea?
Absolutely.
Are there the wrong kind of glue that you can use?
Oh my gosh, I love this topic because press-ons are so fun and they don't take away from the professional, first of all, which I think is kind of like a myth. Like there's really so much room for the professional to be doing them and offering them in the salon. But going back a few years to a little point in time called March of 2020, I was actually scheduled to teach at the IBS show in New York, and one of my classes was how to fit press-ons properly. So, it was starting a little bit before the pandemic, but now after the pandemic, people just see how fun they can be, and salon pros are seeing that they can offer them to clients. They can make them themselves at home at midnight while watching crime TV. That's me. And, it's just another opportunity of business. And people are making a lot of, professionals are making a lot of money doing this because consumers love it and they can change their nails quickly. And there's just so many options available with press-ons now. So no, they're not going away anytime soon.
Yeah, well, you made a good point, is that the nail artist can actually create these nails. It's not like you're sending someone to the drugstore to pick it up. You can say, as the nail artist, I'm going to create you. You're going to a wedding or you're going to an event. Yep. You don't have time to come see me. I'm going to make you this beautiful set. And of course, lots of time and effort goes into that. So how do you figure out how to charge for these kind of nail sets? Like, what are the price ranges?
That's a really great question. So I think that, and something else that I want to mention that's a really good benefit is that if the client doesn't have time to sit with you for 3 or 4 hours to make a set, you can have them come in to do a fitting. 10-15 minutes is totally custom. You make the nails and then give it to them for the wedding or the prom or the vacation or whatever. So I think that you should charge, there's a few different ways. I mean, charging in the salon, there's always so many different ways to do it. And I feel like that's a whole different conversation, right? But I think that one way that you can do it is to charge someone maybe in 3 different tiers. And of course, this varies based on if you are an artist that does like 3D and faces and portraitures and things like that. But what you can do is one flat rate for solid color, and it can be any color, whatever, one flat rate for that. One flat rate for what I call like one-step nail art. So it can be a moon or something where there's 2 colors, it's simple, you know, you have kind of like tiers with that. And then you have one price for portraiture, and then you have one price for gemstones or anything that's 3D or chrome. And that way it's really clear for your client to say, okay, this is what my budget is. My budget is going to fall in here. This is what we're going to get, rather than charging like per crystal or per nail or whatever. That really gets complicated. So I kind of like this tier kind of thing. And then, you know, you can shift a little bit from there if needed, but that's usually the easiest way. And it does take time. I mean,
yeah, no, that's a very smart idea, because your client needs to know the level of time involved. They go, oh, I love these with the cute faces and stuff on it. Well, that cute face, like that one nail, just took me half an hour. So you have to really understand that, right? And the thing is, they're reusable as well.
Yeah.
So it's something that hopefully will last you a few wears if that's the case.
Right, exactly. And I think that education with how to take them off and put them on properly so that you can rewear them is important. And you know that it is a work of art. And I would like to say to anyone that does make press-ons, don't discount your time just because it's a time that you're not sitting with the client. It's actually more valuable to them because time is money, right? So you're saving the client time by you doing these on your own. So you should be charging accordingly and then some.
Right. Well, you know, this all comes down to education, and it's just very important to know the process, like to learn how to properly fit a nail, because there's nothing worse than a nail that's like bigger or smaller or just doesn't look right.
Right.
And just learning this whole process, I think, is really important. You know, I feel like I could talk to you for like another hour. This is all very interesting and fun and creative, and I just love this subject. And love CND and Jan and the whole brand as a whole. Where can we find you? Where can we find you on Instagram?
Instagram is at Julie K Nails NYC, and my Academy page is at Julie K Nail Academy.
That's fantastic. Okay, well, I really appreciate your time today, and I look forward to seeing what you're up to next, and I'll definitely be in touch, and we'll definitely connect again for sure.
I look forward to it. Thanks so much.
Great. Thanks so much, Julie.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.